Don't let them trick you into getting your ass whooped again.
We have a special guest here today. We'll be bringing him in.
I'm here to support my my boxer.
No Floyd Mayweather. Why not Floyd Mayweather? Why isn't he in the top five?
Floyd Mayweather, he's running the whole 12 rounds and he won the fight. How is that? I mean, you know, I feel sorry to the fans because the fight is boring. You know, the fight is boring. Like,
He's older than me. I'm still young, so what I have done and accomplished in boxing, I think it's one of a kind because to get a different weight division is not that easy. And I'm not trying to boast what I have accomplished in life, but I'm just saying this to repeat. They might forget that the best fighter in the world has a humility.
I'm not here to talk about your personal life. When we talk about, you know, what's going on inside.
Even after a decade since their legendary bout, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao still seem to have some unspoken tension. During a recent conference, Mayweather abruptly interrupted and shoved Pacquiao aggressively. At first, it seemed like he was just messing around, but after the incident, he walked away from where Pacquiao was and never returned.
Sitting, John, right across the court from each other, Mayweather right next to the heat bench, Pacquiao, personal friend of Eric Spoelstra, right across from the bench, Spo noting that they had a chance to visit before the game. Well, that's a visit right there. Those are two men that allegedly have exchanged.
It was undoubtedly shocking to see him behave that way, especially during a time when Manny Pacquiao was receiving praise and handshakes from fellow professionals. However, rumors suggest that a particular comment made by Pacquiao may have triggered his reaction. Still, that didn't shield him from a wave of criticism from fans. One fan commented, "I believe Floyd Mayweather has done more harm than good to the sport of boxing. He's the reason the sport is now so focused on money, rather than making a meaningful impact or building a lasting legacy. He's also why many fighters today prioritize protecting an undefeated record over challenging the best opponents. It just doesn't make sense."
How would you describe your career? How would you describe your career?
my career, I don't want to raise my own chair.
Manny, who are the top 5 fighters you ever fought, you think?
Another fan added, "Floyd Mayweather is undeniably great inside the ring, but outside of it, he can be as erratic and reckless as a helpless pauper." The comment from Manny Pacquiao that reportedly sparked the controversy came during a recent interview. When asked about the toughest and most memorable fights of his career, Pacquiao initially found it difficult to rank them. However, when pressed to name the best, he paused thoughtfully before responding. Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, Juan Manuel Marquez, Oscar de la Hoya, Miguel Cotto, Pacquiao told a group of reporters,
Barrera, Morales, Marquez, de la Hoya, Cotto, what else? Cotto, Margarito.
Why no Floyd Mayweather?
the fighters Pacquiao named are all Hall of Famers, but in the end, it's all a matter of opinion. What stood out, however, was the noticeable absence of Floyd Mayweather from his list. Widely regarded as one of the greatest fighters of his generation, and often mentioned in the GOAT conversation, Mayweather defeated Pacquiao by unanimous decision in May 2015. The bout, which took years to materialize, was one of the most anticipated in boxing history. But when it finally happened, many fans and critics considered it underwhelming and forgettable. According to Pacquiao, that's precisely why he chooses not to include Mayweather among the best opponents he's ever faced. Floyd Mayweather was running the whole 12 rounds and he won the fight. Pacquiao said, "How is that? I felt sorry for the fans. The fight was boring. That's not what the fans were expecting from us."
Fight is boring. Like, that's not the fans expecting to us. I mean, as a fighter. If I'm a fan, of course I want to see a good fight, like changing fight, not a passion show.
Is that rematch still important?
Right? You need action, like.
Let's get a question from
And that may very well be what set Mayweather off. Reflecting on their 2015 bout, Pacquiao has long maintained that a right shoulder injury limited his performance in the ring. He claimed it prevented him from fighting at his best against Mayweather. Adding to the controversy, Nevada officials denied Pacquiao's request to receive an anti-inflammatory injection in his dressing room just before the fight. The chairman of the Nevada Athletic Commission later stated that the denial was due to Pacquiao's failure to disclose the injury in a timely manner. "It's part of the game," Pacquiao said, seemingly accepting the outcome despite the circumstances.
There's no problem.
So go back to before the Mayweather fight. Just take us back through what happened to your shoulder. Was it about 3 weeks before when you tore your rotator cuff?
My shoulder has been bothering me since 2009, and then
"I don't want to make excuses or complain," Pacquiao said, "but it's hard to fight one-handed." His trainer, Freddie Roach, and promoter, Bob Arum, were vague on the specifics of the injury, but admitted they had considered postponing the bout just weeks before fight night. Despite the setback, Arum expressed pride in Pacquiao's performance. "I thought he fought a courageous fight under all the circumstances, and I'm very proud of what he accomplished tonight," Arum said. Pacquiao reportedly sustained the injury sometime after mid-March. According to Arum, it was similar to the one that ended NBA star Kobe Bryant's season with the Los Angeles Lakers, an injury to the rotator cuff.
And then I just handle it every training, but it just happened on that Mayweather training. We push harder than any training that we had in the past. So that's what happened. I got hurt, but we actually managed that after maybe 2 weeks before the fight, and then 3 weeks before the fight is.
Arum didn't clarify whether that was the exact injury he was referencing, but he did note that Pacquiao had consulted the same doctor who treated Kobe Bryant. According to Arum, Pacquiao's team believed they would be allowed to administer an anti-inflammatory shot before the fight, since similar treatments had been approved during training. The shots had also been cleared by the United States Anti-Doping Agency, USADA. However, Arum admitted that Top Rank filed incorrect paperwork related to the injury, which led the Nevada State Athletic Commission to deny the request. Francisco Aguilar, chairman of the commission, confirmed that Pacquiao's team failed to disclose the injury until the night of the fight. As a result, both the request for an anti-inflammatory injection and the presence of Pacquiao's personal physician in his corner were denied.
3 weeks before the fight, the pain is gone, so I able to raise my hands and move.
Did they say it was torn at that point?
The doctor said that there's a torn a little bit, but
"We were not aware of his injury until tonight at 6:30, said Francisco Aguilar, who made the ruling on behalf of the Nevada Athletic Commission. The medications he was taking were listed on his medical questionnaire, but not the actual injury. This isn't our first fight. This is our business. There is a process, and when you try to bypass it, it's not going to work in your favor." The NSAC ultimately denied Pacquiao's last-minute request to receive an anti-inflammatory injection in his dressing room before stepping into the ring with Floyd Mayweather. Aguilar stated that after consulting with NSAC medical advisor, Dr. Timothy Traynor, and reviewing the nature and timing of the request, he decided it could not be approved. Pacquiao's team had apparently hoped he could fight without the injection. Despite his limitations, promoter Bob Arum said he had no regrets about moving forward with the bout, even with Pacquiao less than a 100%.
If you decide to get operated after the fight, then it's okay, but it can be healed
With time.
With time.
Yes.
If you don't even need operation, but
But when I realized, the doctor said that, but in every...
Athletes always fight hurt, Arum said. We believed the work done on Manny's shoulder during training would allow him to effectively use his right hand. We were disappointed when, in the third round, the injury flared up again. But that's the nature of sports. You get injured in training, you think you've overcome it, and then it resurfaces during the event. It happens in football. It happens in every sport. Floyd Mayweather, Pacquiao's former promoter, echoed a similar sentiment. At the post-fight press conference, he revealed that he too was dealing with injuries. If Pacquiao had come out victorious, the only thing I could have said was, "I have to show respect and admit he was the better man," Mayweather said. "Both my arms were injured as well."
But in every training that you have, it will come back, the pain.
So against Floyd in the ring that night, did you feel handicapped where you couldn't throw with that, that hand?
I feel like, disappointed in myself because when I'm throwing punches in the fourth round, because he's...
My hands were injured, but as I've said before, I always find a way to win, Mayweather added during the post-fight press conference. The revelation of Pacquiao's shoulder injury gave new weight to the conversation around a potential rematch. His diminished punch output, especially the limited use of his right hand, played a clear role in allowing Mayweather to control the pace and distance of the fight. Trainer Freddie Roach acknowledged Pacquiao's toughness in fighting through the injury, but couldn't hide his frustration over their inability to execute the original game plan, particularly Pacquiao's inability to land his signature right hook. "It was a very close fight," Roach said. "We'd love to do it. Again, hopefully that's something for the future."
Not throwing punches in the fourth round because he's leaning on the rope and attacking him, starting my pressure to him. But I feel like when I throw my hands, I feel like I cut my hands. I feel like I don't have my right hand. So
Got it.
So
you're basically fighting with one arm, one hand,
yes,
right?
Following the highly anticipated fight of the century between Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather Jr., Pacquiao faced legal trouble for failing to disclose a pre-existing shoulder injury. According to Reuters, a lawsuit was filed in federal court in Nevada by plaintiffs Stefan Vanel and Kami Roberan. The suit sought damages under consumer protection laws and aimed to attain class action status on behalf of ticket holders, pay-per-view buyers, and individuals who placed bets on the bout. CNBC reported that the plaintiffs were seeking $5 million in damages. Mayweather maintained his undefeated record with a unanimous decision victory over Pacquiao in their unified welterweight title fight in Las Vegas. The bout went on to become the highest-grossing boxing match in history.
With one arm, one hand,
yes,
right?
And then I feel no pain because of your adrenaline is high. So, but I feel like I don't have a arm in my. I feel like it's cut.
Cut off.
Yeah, cut off.
I got it.
On
So
my right
despite that, did you feel like you still won the fight on?
But just an hour after the fight, Pacquiao's promoter, Bob Arum, publicly revealed that the boxer had injured his shoulder during training. As NPR's Tom Goldman reported, Pacquiao had requested a pain-killing injection prior to the bout but was denied by the Nevada Athletic Commission. The reason? Pacquiao had submitted a pre-fight medical form indicating he was not injured. Arum defended Pacquiao, stating he should have been allowed to receive the shot, and claimed that paperwork had been filed 5 days before the fight requesting approval for the medication. He insisted the commission was fully aware of Pacquiao's condition. However, at the very end of the post-fight press conference, Commission Chairman Francisco Aguilar contradicted Arum's statement, asserting that the commission had not been properly informed. Shortly after, it was confirmed that Pacquiao would undergo surgery for a torn rotator cuff.
Did you feel like you still won the fight on points because he ran from you so much?
When I reviewed the fight, I threw a lot of punches than him, and then I connected more than he connected. But like I said, I know how to accept loss.
According to the Associated Press, Pacquiao's failure to disclose his injury could lead to disciplinary action, likely a fine and possibly a suspension. However, with a payday expected to exceed $100 million and an extended recovery period, ahead following shoulder surgery, Pacquiao can afford both the financial and professional setbacks. World Boxing Council President Mauricio Sulaiman added that Pacquiao had been properly licensed by the Nevada State Athletic Commission and had passed all required medical examinations to be reissued a professional license.
Go.
Yet, several members of the boxing community remain concerned about the potential health risks Pacquiao may face as he prepares for a potential comeback. Despite their respect for his fighting spirit, many worry about the long-term toll of returning to the ring after major shoulder surgery and years of wear. Floyd Mayweather, for his part, was largely respectful toward most of his opponents throughout his career, even as he defeated them en route to his iconic and unblemished 50-0 professional record.
Oscar De La Hoya believes he won his fight against Mayweather.
Let me ask you this. I've heard you on several occasions said you feel that you beat Floyd in that fight.
Sure.
Why do you feel you won that fight?
You know, when you're a fighter inside the ring, when that final bell rings, you know it in your heart, in your gut, and physically, if you won or you lost. You just feel it. It's a sensation.
However, there was one rival Floyd Mayweather openly admitted he disliked more than any other. When asked who that was, he answered without hesitation: Oscar De La Hoya. Mayweather famously clashed with De La Hoya in a blockbuster bout for the WBC Super Welterweight title in 2007. The fight was one of the most anticipated events in modern boxing history and turned into a massive commercial success, headlining a sold-out night in Las Vegas. At the time, it became the most lucrative boxing match ever, generating an estimated $130 million in revenue and drawing a record-setting 2.4 million pay-per-view buys.
Oscar was the one guy that would do everything that I tell him to do. He wasn't no mouthy guy.
Interestingly, De La Hoya had also hinted in the past that Mayweather, nicknamed Money, was his most disliked opponent, given the tension between them. Still, their rivalry remains one of the most iconic in boxing history, cementing both men as two of the sport's most gifted fighters. Despite the competitive nature of their first clash, a highly anticipated rematch never materialized. Mayweather initially retired, and by the time he returned, De La Hoya had already stepped away from the ring. Adding another layer to the rivalry was the corner controversy, with Mayweather's own father, Floyd Mayweather Sr., at the center of it. Looking back, even he admitted his son may have been fortunate to walk away with the win that night.
He wasn't no mouthy guy or anything like that. We never had that kind of problem. And then always,
that's why I asked you where you were from.
Always, every now and then I would go out there and jog with him and stuff like that. Stuff like that. But other than that,
if you want to call fights by the scoring system, by who's throwing more punches, you had to give it to Oscar, he said. If you're judging based on clean, single shots, then you give it to my son. My son had good defense. He caught a lot of punches on his shoulder and arm, but it's still about a guy throwing punches. If he touches you, he's scoring. I thought it was a close fight. It all comes down to how you judge it. If you look at the point system and go by who Touched who the most? Then you have to give it to Oscar.
Yeah, Oscar's been a good guy, and Oscar got ready to do a lot of stuff with people. And Oscar was one of the best.
It was a surprising admission, one Floyd Mayweather Sr. perhaps should never have made, especially when it meant favoring a rival over his own son. But the fact that he said it anyway speaks volumes about the strained relationship between father and son over the years. Still, regardless of personal dynamics, one of the most impressive records in sports history remains Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Taught you so much. You taught him so much, excuse me. What have you learned from Floyd? What have you learned from Floyd? Junior, excuse me.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. We had, at one time, we was coming up, we have never had
His flawless 50-0 boxing career. Money. Mayweather carved out a legacy with iconic victories over elite fighters like Diego Corrales, Miguel Cotto, and many more. Yet, despite the dominance, there's one fight that even his own father believes should not have gone his son's way: the 2007 clash with Oscar de la Hoya.
What do you think about Oscar? What do you remember about training?
But Oscar was the one guy that